So we mentioned where Naomi and Elimelech sinned when they left Judah for enemy country. Naomi sinned by urging her daughters-in-law to go back, and that was not good. She shouldn't have done that. And Naomi sinned by getting bitter and blaming God for her plight. Verse 20. But she said to them, do not call me Naomi. Naomi means pleasant. Do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara. Mara means bitterness. For the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. Now I got good news. She will come out of this. Okay? But at this point, this is where she was at. It was her decision. Now here she is, bitter towards God, saying God has dealt bitterly with her. But listen, it was her decision to go to Moab, so why blame God? How many times do we as people do that? We make a sorry decision, we make a wrong decision, we make a stupid decision sometimes, and then we want to turn around and blame God. God, why you got me here? Well, God says, you got yourself there. You dug that hole, I didn't. But yet we want to turn and blame God. And we want to get bitter with God. And we want to point a finger at God. And wonder why God is dealing so bitterly with us. And it's not God's fault at all. God's saying, listen, if you listen to me start with, you wouldn't be in this mess. You know, if you'd consulted me to start with, then you wouldn't be here right now. She had made that decision. Her and her husband had made that decision. And now she points the finger at God. And this thing, Naomi believed that God is the cause of everything that happens. We covered this a few weeks ago. She believed that God is the cause of everything that happens. And that ain't the case. God does not cause everything that takes place. Listen, this is important. This is important. Listen. As we read the Bible, and I had to write this down, I wouldn't remember saying it today. As we read the Bible, we must distinguish between what is presented as eternal truth and what is a record of a person's viewpoint. Job's friends, for example, they stated wrong viewpoints. And here, Naomi stated her idea. But the text does not indicate it was God's idea. You see, the Bible is true through and through. But everything that's said in the Bible is not necessarily what God says is right. It tells someone else's opinion that God recorded, that the book recorded. And I believe sometimes to show us that we need His wisdom instead of our own wisdom. So, everything that's said in the Bible, you know, listen. Solomon, when he wrote the book of the Song of Solomon, and Ecclesiastes, that's the book of Ruth. When he wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, there's a lot of things in it that are kind of negative. But just because he said them doesn't mean that that was God's idea. You see, you got to understand, Solomon was a backslid preacher. When he wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, he was in a backslidden state. Get that. Think about that. That's a Selah moment. Pause and think about that. In a backslidden state. So he was giving things forth out of bitterness. Things that and they may have been true, but they weren't God's truth. They may have been true, but they weren't God's words, they weren't God's opinion, they weren't God's dealings. And so everything that this book records doesn't mean that that's just God's opinion on everything. It means that God's allowing us insight into what somebody else said and what they thought. Listen, something else that we need to understand, and this is where I said we need to hang on to this, because in Naomi's time, Satan's activity was not fully understood. Okay? In her day, his activity was not fully revealed. They didn't have full revelation on Satan's activity. And so later God revealed more concerning the nature and the work of Satan, of the evil tempter. And in the New Testament, of course, he gives a much, much fuller picture. So in the depths of despair, and this is where Naomi, she was in the depths of despair. She lost her husband, lost her sons, things had gotten bad. She was trying to make her way back to Bethlehem. And she was in the depths of despair when all this was taking place and all this was happening. And so it would have been easy to feel like you were forsaken by God. It would have felt, how many times have you even prayed felt like the heavens were brassed over? Felt like your prayers weren't getting any higher than your nose just about, much less the ceiling. And we've all gone through times like that. We go through seasons like that sometimes. But by faith, we know that God is there.